Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvise Sarashunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krišna Krišna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Divine Grace, the Bhakti A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Haribo, Slava Zamrani Bhakta, Slava Shri Guru, Shri Gurangi. Om Agyana Tavarandasya, Gyananjana Salakaya, Taksur Militam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stabhidham Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Dham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Buddhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sudha Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapa Druvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized, text number 59. Vishaya vinivartante nirharasya deinam rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishvani vartate Vishaya vinivartante nirharasya deinam Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate Vishaya vinivartante nirharasya deinam Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate Vishaya vinivartante nirharasya deinam Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate Vishaya vinivartante Nirharasya dehina Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate Vishaya vinivartante Nirharasya dehina Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate. Ladies.
Vishaya vinivartante
Vishaya vinivartante Nirharasya dehina Rasavarjam rasopyasya Puram drishvani vartate. Vishaya, objects for sense enjoyment. Vinivartante, are practiced to be restrained from. Nirharasya, by negative restrictions. Dehina, for the embodied. Rasavarjam, giving up the taste. Rasa, sense of enjoyment. Api, although there is. Asya, his. Param, far superior things. Drishva, by experiencing. Nivartante, he ceases from. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Please repeat. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Purport. Unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. Is this too loud? The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of edibles. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for edibles. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process, like Astanga Yoga, in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna and the cause of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. Vishayavani vartante nirharasya dehinam rasavarjam rasopyasya param dvishvani vartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhute Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharne. So amongst our devotee scholars here, who knows similar verses in the Bhagavad Gita to this? Okay, we'll start with one. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasmaran indriyartam vibudatma vityatra sauchite. One who restrains the senses and organs of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Yes, tva indriyani manasa niyamyamarajatayajana karmendriyai karmayogam asakta savishishade. On the other hand, who restrains the senses by the mind, is that right? Let's see. On the other hand, a sincere person who tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment is by far superior. Another verse which is similar is Arjuna Vacha Asamsham Mahavaho Manodin Nigraham Chalam Abhisam. Sri Bhagavana Vacha, Arjuna was asking, Chanchalam Himana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam Asyaham Nigraham Manye Vayor Navam Ivambasi Chanchalam Himana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayor Iva Siddhiskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it seems to be more difficult than trying to control the wind. So Krishna's answer is, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshaya Mahavaho Manoda Nigraham Chalam Abhyasena Tukonteya Vairagena Tagriyade. It is undoubtedly difficult to curb the restless mind, O Arjuna, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So that suitable practice is what? Ananta, guess what the suitable practice is?
It's sadhana chant, hearing.
Wow, you read my mind. Sadhana sankalpa. And the idea is that Krishna is a reservoir of pleasure, and if we fix our minds upon Krishna, we can experience some transcendental pleasure. There's nothing that's more pleasurable than Krishna. At the end of when this universe is annihilated, is destroyed, at the end of Brahma's day, then Krishna lies down on a banyan tree and puts his toe into his mouth, because he heard that his lotus feet are very sweet, so he spends the whole devastation tasting his own lotus feet. Now, if we did that, we wouldn't get a higher taste, because our feet are not so sweet. But Krishna's feet are transcendently sweet, like sugar candy. Therefore, coming in contact with Krishna means everything else seems tuchavat. Do you know what the word tuchavat means? Insignificant. What's that? Sankhya purvaka gananativi kolo tyatva turnam ashesha mandalapati shrenim sadatu chavat budva dina ganesha ko karunaya gopi nakanta shito gopi bhava rasamrita dilahari kolo lamogna moho Bande rupa sanatana raguyago Shri jiva gopala go Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati. What does tyaktva mean?
Renouncing.
Yes, to give up. Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati. What does mandalapati mean? Mandala?
Circle of pati means family, no?
The world.
The world.
Pati? Big people in the world. The leaders of the world. Pati, mandala pati. So they gave up being leaders of the world. Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati. Big leaders, ashesha mandalapati. Very important leaders. Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati. Shrenim. Shrenim means important. Shrenim. Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati. Shrenim sadatu chavat. But they gave it up as something insignificant. Tuchavat. Bhutva dina ganesha ko karunaya. And out of compassion for the suffering souls, they took on loincloths and lived as mendicants, begging from door to door. But gopi bhava rasamrita dilahari kolola mogna mohor. But they were always absorbed in this mood of the gopis, feeling transcendental separation from Krishna and enjoying transcendental pleasure at every moment. So without enjoying transcendental pleasure, for us, of course, we get it from sadhana and from prasadam. Prasadam is very important too. We can't get taste from sadhana, at least prasadam is available. When Prabhupada started 22nd Avenue, Prabhupada made a pot of glubdimins. It was in a jar, big jar of glubdimins. And if someone's going to bloop, before they bloop, they'd take one of the glubdimins, and that would keep them for a little bit longer in the temple. They realized if I bloop, I won't get any more glubdimins, so they stayed. So somehow or another, getting a higher taste then becomes fixed in consciousness. So getting the higher taste, but one also has to practice vairagya. Not that unless I get the higher taste, then I have to gratify my senses. No, there's a certain amount of detachment has to be there too. Therefore, for detachment from sense enjoyment, what do we have? What do we do to become detached from sense enjoyment sometimes? I mean, I don't want to bring about bad memories, but fasting. Janmashtami. Remember Janmashtami? Nilja, I don't believe that. That was made up. Anyhow, but in any case, that's a different thing. I mean, probably one time I remember when we first got the tapes, 1970, Prabhupada mentioned that every appearance day we should fast half a day. And then he mentioned that on Ekadasi in Vrindavan, there are saintly persons, they fast for the whole day and they stay up all night. He said that's very nice. Of course, Prabhupada never did it because then it would be the standard ISKCON. I remember when I was the temple president of Houston, we opened the Houston temple, and Vishnu Jan Maharaj left because Vishnu Jan Maharaj started the temple. I assisted him with another devotee. But then he left, so I was the temple president. And the only contact we usually had with Prabhupada, his instructions at that time, because there were no new books usually coming out, was his tapes. So he said that on the tape, and I had around maybe 10 devotees in the temple. And we started the program, every appearance day or any holiday would have a half-day fast. But the calendar is full of half-day fasts. So that was bad enough. But the devotees just couldn't take it. So much fast. I mean, you're 20 years old and you're fasting every other day. It's too much. But we had to do it because Prabhupada said we had to do it. Do or die. So I remember the first devotee, his wife left. We had a household couple in the temple, his wife left. So that wasn't because she couldn't take it was too austere. And then shortly after, the husband left. So then after some time, I realized that this is not a very good program. As a matter of fact, when we first started to have Ekadasi, follow Ekadasi, the devotees didn't like it at all. I mean, I was into fasting before I joined the movement sometimes. I was a fruitarian when it was 50 years, 20 degrees below zero. I was still just eating bananas all day long. Then I became a microbiotic, eating brown rice and carrots. But then Ekadasi, when I joined the movement, no one liked Ekadasi. It was just like, it was too much. So then we started to make a big feast on Ekadasi. So no one was fearful of Ekadasi anymore. Everyone looked forward to Ekadasi because there was really nice prasadam. So in any case, prasadam is our savior for many people, for many devotees. But somehow or another they get a taste for something about Krishna consciousness. That's why it's recommended, especially at the beginning, that we be engaged in some service that we like. Could you imagine working for free 8 hours a day for something you disliked? It would be quite austere. Impossible, actually, after some time. Therefore, devotees should find out, or the leaders should find out something the devotees like to do, for the most part. Of course, sometimes we might be asked to do something we don't like, but that shouldn't be our whole service, our whole daily routine. As I mentioned, there was one devotee who always refused to go on a book distribution because he was always afraid he'd be attacked. So he's always stayed back and did other services. Well, one day they forced him to go on book distribution. So he went out, and the first person he approached to shake his hand and give him a book, punched him in the face and knocked him out. Because after all, for years he was meditating on what would happen if he went on book distribution. So Krishna fulfilled his desire. And he got exactly what he was thinking about. if everything would have went all right, it would have been a big disappointment. So many years of meditating on getting, hurt when he went on book distribution. If suddenly it was a good day, it would have been a big disappointment. He would have wasted his 3 or 4 years of meditating on getting in danger if he went on book distribution. So confirmed. Krishna so kindly sent someone to confirm to him all the fears he had. So, if we think that devotional service will not give us any happiness, then it won't. Krishna will be so kind that we'll never get any higher taste. If we think that this is that these people out here, they're actually all out to get me, whatever, we imagine, this material world is a place of imagination, that there's something other than Krishna going on, there's something other than spiritual beings in this world, there's something other than Krishna being the supreme, then of course, how can we live in this material world happily and peacefully? What to speak of becoming Krishna conscious? Are we living in our made-up imaginations? We'll never get a higher taste. We'll just be fearful of everything. Probably used to say we're all ghostly haunted. So our mind says, boo, we go, boo, please leave me alone, I'm innocent, boo. So we're all ghostly haunted. And because of that, we find ourselves doing things that are actually completely unnecessary for our well-being or for our benefit, simply because we're following the dictations of our minds. It's just like the person runs up to a tree, grabs the tree, and tells the tree, let me go, let me go. And someone comes along and says, help me, the tree got me. And the man who comes along and says, wait a second, the tree is not holding on to you, you're holding on to the tree. No, tell the tree, let me go. No, that you're holding on to you and your philosophy, leave me alone, find someone to help me. So we're holding on to these material conceptions of life, our minds are torturing us, and we feel good about it, because we feel justified. I'm a victim, the world's cruel, I deserve some sympathy, people should love me because I'm such a sweet victim. I'm actually supreme, but no one realizes it, so they're all in Maya. They don't realize my good qualities, my supreme dominion over all that to be. So I'm the helpless victim of a bad drama. So we're just torturing ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to be tortured by the mind, instead of thinking about Krishna and becoming blissful. So if we're told to restrain ourselves from sense enjoyment without Krishna consciousness, then we may do it for some time at a false ego. But at the end we'll actually become disturbed. Because neither will get a taste for our austerity, nor will we actually gain any benefit by it ultimately. Like Vrikasura was cutting his flesh. He wanted a benediction. So he went to the Kedarnath, and to serve Lord Shiva, he's cutting flesh from his body and throwing it into the fire to satisfy Lord Shiva. But Lord Shiva didn't appear. So he decided that in order to satisfy Lord Shiva, I'm going to cut my head off and throw it into the fire. So he bathed his body like when one was going to sacrifice an animal. He went up to the fire with hair, he grabbed hold of his hair, and he had a big knife. He was going to cut off his head, and then with whatever energy he had left, he was going to throw it into the fire. Swaha. But Lord Shiva had a compassion. He appeared from the fire. Could you imagine 1 year he was only eating ashes and cutting his flesh from his body and throwing it into the fire to get a benediction from Lord Shiva. So finally Lord Shiva came, touched his body with, Lord Shiva touched his hand to the the demon's body, and it healed. And he said, Lord Shiva said, but you don't have to go through all this austerity to please me. If you just offer a little bilva fruit and a little Ganges water, I'm satisfied. So what benediction do you want? So Vrikasura said, I want a benediction whose ever head I touch will crack into thousands of pieces. So much austerity to get that benediction. Such a foolish demon. So Lord Shiva realized he was in trouble, but he's obliged to give benedictions. He's called Ashutosh. That's why he easily gives benedictions. So he said, so be it, Tatastu. And then the demon approached Lord Shiva to touch his head, so he could kill him and then steal his wife Parvati. So Lord Shiva had a fear, fled everywhere, all around the universe, and Vrikasura had mystic powers, so he could follow him. Everywhere he went, Lord Shiva took shelter of all the demigods, but none of them could help him. So finally he went to Swetadweep, where Lord Krishna is, and Lord Krishna appeared as a brahmachari, with matted locks in his head, and a deer skin, and a danda. Lord Shiva ran by him, and then Vrikasura came, and Lord Vishnu, in the form of a brahmachari, said, wait, O son of Sukuni, why are you running so fast? Vrikasura thought, oh, this demon, he must know my family. He knows my father. He must be a friend. So he stopped and said, well, because I'm chasing after Lord Shiva. So Lord Vishnu said, but you're wearing your body out. You run so fast. And if you wear your body out, you won't be able to satisfy the desires of your mind. So slow up. He said, but why are you running after Lord Shiva? He said, because he gave me a benediction, whose every head I touch will crack into thousands of pieces. And I want to kill him so I could steal his wife. So Lord Vishnu said, well, come on, don't you actually believe Lord Shiva? I have personal information that Lord Shiva had a quarrel with his father-in-law, Daksha, and now ever since he's been ghostly haunted. So I heard he's going around the universe giving out false benedictions to everyone. So what I suggest you do, Lord Vishnu said, you find Lord Shiva and you touch, well, first of all, I suggest this. You touch your head, your hand to your own head, and if the benediction doesn't work, then you should go and find Lord Shiva, and you should kill him for handing out all these false benedictions. So then Lord Vishnu uses illusory potency to bewilder Vrikasura. So Vrikasura said, that makes sense, I'll touch my head, see if it works or not. If not, then I'm going to kill Lord Shiva. So he touched his head, and his head cracked into thousands of pieces. And everyone was happy except for Vrikasura. So the point is, we go through so many austerities in the world. Everyone's going through austerity. Get what they want. But it's all useless without Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? Hvala. Kontrolirati Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Doesn't work, huh? No, Shiva is just putting it on.
You had to spend a year eating ashes, cutting flesh and drawing it apart. His blood, he appears.